Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from Mousesteps.com.
And this is episode number 355
355
of Mousesteps Weekly.
Sponsored by MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel. And I will also mention Universal Fan Travel. 2021 hotel packages for Walt Disney World are available to book. We recommend MEI and Mouse Fan and Universal Fan if you're wanting to stay at Universal Studios. They've been in business over 20 years. I personally recommend 2021 right now for travel, more than trying to come in 2020.
Still a lot of unknowns for this year.
Still a lot of unknowns.
Disneyland, I don't think there's a date yet for the opening of Disneyland.
Right. Disneyland was going to open on July 17th. I think Downtown Disney is still on schedule for July 9th. But right now we just don't know what will happen with Disneyland and really with Walt Disney World either currently.
Right.
We have dates here. We'll see if Disney hits the mark or not. But 2021, I think, is hopefully a little safer and actually has hotel reservations and everything that you can book.
And we just stayed at a Disney hotel, and it was very, very wonderful to be back.
It was, and that's what we're going to be talking about later. But first, we're going to talk about the Splash Mountain redo that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
A few days back, Disney announced that Splash Mountain would be rethemed to Princess and the Frog. I think there's been rumors over the years that something could happen like that. The story will pick up after the final kiss in the film and follows Tiana and Louis as they prepare for their first Mardi Gras performance. I'm looking forward to this. I think it will be beautiful. We really don't ride Splash Mountain very often. It's actually been a number of years.
Well,
that's
because we always have camera equipment with us. But I first rode Splash Mountain at Disneyland in 1989, and I saw all these creatures, and I later learned they were from America Sings, which was a classic Mark Davis attraction that we talked about recently this year on our show. So I just hope that somehow they can still be utilized, repurposed perhaps, in the new Princess and the Frog version.
Right, and we see re-themes at the parks often, including Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. I enjoy both of those attractions. This is still going to be essentially the same ride, just a re-theme of it. So I'm fine with that. I enjoy Splash Mountain, but I will enjoy, Princess and the Frog Mountain as well. And Sharita Carter, who oversaw Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway with Kevin Rafferty, is leading the project. And I know I saw Tony Baxter is coming back for that as well.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So
I think he's consulting, so that'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it could be a really fantastic change to Splash Mountain.
And it won't be the first time Princess and the Frog have been in at least the Walt Disney World Frontierland area. We just talked about Tiana's Showboat Jubilee also a couple months ago and how much we love that. So I think it'll be a nice fit for the area and for Disneyland as well.
And that was in Liberty Square, which obviously it doesn't...
But it was on the Rivers of America,
right
in front of Splash Mountain. That's where the boat would stop.
And that was such a fun, really a fun show. So now we're going to talk. We stayed one night at Disney's BoardWalk Villas this week. The DVC Resorts are open to members to book and stay. And also Disney's Fort Wilderness Campground is available for those who have reservations already. And these open, I think it was June 22nd. I didn't write it down. We booked through an owner who had a small amount of points that they wanted to get rid of
exactly.
pretty soon. And we've actually stayed at some of the DVC resorts. I have for, payment as well, but sometimes friends of ours have gifted it to us as well because they needed to get rid of their points.
Right, and you can see this lobby not very busy. Actually, that's the theme of this whole experience. Is it felt very, very empty.
Right, and we just really wanted to kind of see. Well, part of it is we just love being at Walt Disney World, but the other part is just kind of to see what the new rules and enhancements would be. It really is quite different right now. Similar, but different.
But the chairs are still there.
Yes.
Our favorite chairs. Not at all spooky.
I would not, necessarily call Paul and Todd my favorite chairs.
What chairs are better?
But those are always kind of fun to visit. And, here is the walkway to the room. And we had a studio villa, which...
It was fine for us for just one night.
Yeah, a studio villa here. Usually we end up, when I paid in the past, for maybe a one bedroom, I always like a little extra room and then the washer dryer. But the villas, it's like 412 square feet, so it's actually a pretty good size.
And obviously, this was the first time we were back at a Disney resort. And I have to say, when we walked into the lobby, they had all sorts of cast members lined up with big Mickey hands there waving and welcoming us back. It was really a very nice welcome.
Well, we did our check-in ahead of time so that we could just go straight to the room. My goal for this trip was to not talk too much to cast members and such, because of the virus and all that. That turned out where cast members wanted to talk to us, but everybody was so friendly. And let's just talk about the studio though for the moment. It sleeps up to 5, including a queen size bed, a double sleeper sofa, and a fold down bed for a child or a small adult, which we'll show. There's also the small refrigerator.
And this is one of the big changes here. The remote control is sealed.
Well, they call it enhanced cleaning procedures. Most of them are something you will not see, like just the cleaning part.
Right.
But like that with the plastic and also wrapped like cups and wrapped plates and wrapped bowls. Yes. 2 of the bowls were wrapped together, but most everything was wrapped separately, which was a big change. And it's actually kind of nice as far as cleanliness.
Right.
For the environment somebody asked me about, probably not as much, but for now, during COVID-19, I think it's a very good idea.
And the balcony actually was useful to us. We had a nice breakfast out here.
Right. A lot of the restaurants are closed right now. There are some that are open, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But like the BoardWalk Bakery was open. We don't dine inside, so our options were very limited. We went to the BoardWalk Bakery twice, and we'd bring back food, and we had it on the balcony.
And this is more of a tour of looking around the rest of the room and the cooking area.
And I will say, we stayed at Disney's Riviera Resort in January, and that was very nice. So the BoardWalk it feels like an older property. It is an older property. It's like, I don't know if this section's like 25 years old or so. So it will feel, probably the whole resort, including the villas, it feels older. So it's about location. You're in between Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios, neither which were open. But still, I always love the BoardWalk. I love to walk on the BoardWalk, and we could walk about halfway around. They're getting the Yacht Club ready for the
Beach Club
NBA.
is opened, and they're
right.
Right.
The Yacht Club is getting ready for the NBA players to stay there, just as they are in other resorts as well.
And even though it was just us in the room, I had you wear the mask because we're encouraging mask wearing. And here is the little pull-out bed. And
was I wearing it? Maybe I was just wearing it, right? You didn't
tell
me to put it on.
No, I did. I
don't even remember this.
That's the only reason you agreed to be on it.
Okay. No, I actually thought I wasn't going to be shown at all, so I don't even remember wearing it or not wearing it.
But the point is, look at this delightful Dumbo painting here on the pullout.
I always, I love the artwork on the pullout beds. So there's information here as far as now this doesn't look so good, and as
maybe
far
because
as
it was on, it could have just been burnt in or something. I don't know.
Well, it's something new though, so it just gives information on
that's
health
the
and
only
safety and
only
such.
Transportation available is buses to Disney Springs.
Right, and then Disney Springs to someplace else, and just the Disney again, the DVC Villas, Disney Springs, and then the campground were open.
And here's a little change on the elevator: 1 party or 4 individuals. We mostly took the stairs though, so it wasn't an issue for us.
4 almost feels like a lot now. Now Dundee's Sundries was closed. A lot is closed right now.
But not the Luna Park pool. That was hopping.
Yeah, it was busy, and I think a big part of the reason it's busy is because Stormalong Bay, yeah, is closed over at Disney's Yacht and Beach Club right now, and so that is like the best pool on Walt Disney World, that Walt Disney World owns.
So all the guests at the Beach Club are able to come over here and use and slide down the clown's tongue right into the pool. Can't beat it.
It's not my favorite of the pool themes at Walt Disney World. And actually, at this time you're showing it, it wasn't as busy as sometimes it had been at other times.
Right. It was actually surprisingly, it was the only time I saw any busyness the entire 2 days that we were around the resorts.
Right, because we were going to get some food here at the pool bar, but it really was just a little busy when we had stopped by for that.
Right. This was the second time we walked by.
And it's just it was a beautiful day. Both days were mostly beautiful days.
Look at this delightfully empty boardwalk.
Right. And so I mentioned the BoardWalk Bakery is open, but also places that are not open include Flying Fish, Ample Hills, Jelly Rolls, ESPN Club. A lot of it is not open. So you have the BoardWalk Bakery, you have Trattoria Al Forno, which is open, but no character meals. Only Topolino's Terrace has a character meal.
Abracadabra at night?
Yes, and that was open. We didn't go in again. We're really not going into place unless we're just going in to pick up and take out.
Quickly
And I guess
pick up.
I don't know if we could have at Abracadabra.
I think you could have, and then sat outside, but it was very hot, almost 100-degree feel real, or maybe over it.
And then the pizza window was open. We didn't eat here. We just did the BoardWalk Bakery at the BoardWalk. And then also we almost got something over at the Beach Club Marketplace, and that was open as well.
They were very friendly at the BoardWalk Bakery when we walked in. There were more workers than there was of us.
And the sandwich was really good, and the cupcake actually was excellent. And actually, at one point, I did see a line for BoardWalk Bakery. There was never a line when I was in there. I only had like one guest one time in there with me, or two.
Because you got breakfast for us in there the second day.
But one of the days I saw a line out, I think it was the evening on the second day, that there was more guests on the boardwalk.
And, I have to agree with you. That cupcake, maybe because we haven't had a Disney cupcake in a
No,
while, it was excellent.
No, there's cupcakes that aren't that good at Walt Disney World. That one was good. It was like a cookies and cream cupcake.
So we decided to go on a little excursion because we found out that since we were resort guests, we could go to the Disney Springs and get a bus and check out another resort. So we were hoping to get a little something for a snack at the Contemporary Resort.
Right, and we didn't end up getting a snack. If I had known at first about Contempo Cafe being open, we might have gotten lunch over there to take outside.
Well, the following day we made up for it by getting snacks and fully food at both places. We went to the Polynesian Village, and then we went to Fort Wilderness, and we ate at both of those.
Then P&J Southern Takeout, which is fantastic, and I wish we had brought home even more. We got extra for home, but even not as much extra as I would have liked.
We'll talk about that next week. You can see the buses have a completely different setup inside. There are zones in the buses, and when it's more crowded, the drivers are actually going to seat you, sort of like when you go to a restaurant. They ask, how many in your party, and they will put you in a certain place. So that's our bus drivers were very talkative and very friendly, telling us how it's going to go. When it was just the two of us, it didn't matter. We never had anyone else on a bus the entire time we were there.
But we saw a few other people on buses, but just not very many. And the bus drivers, they were talkative and they were very happy to be back. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that they're wanting to be there and really happy to be there. It was. And we talked one of them like 15 minutes or something.
And here is the Disney's Contemporary Resort. We are very happy to be able to walk around and see that. And here is the Bay Lake Tower, which the Bay Lake Tower is actually open. Only the first 4 floors in the Contemporary Resort are open.
Right. Up to the 4th floor, the Wave is open. And then not Chef Mickey's is not open.
We'll
Contempo Cafe,
we'll show all of that.
So there's health and safety reminders. These are everywhere. This is going to take a while as far as the virus, and even if we ended up delayed from July, no matter what, whenever Walt Disney World opens, what we saw is what I expect to have for many, many months at least.
I'm just so not used to it quiet like this, unless we are very late at night or very early in the morning. It's usually bustling, there's energy, there's people, and it was just vacant. It was very eerily quiet.
But it was, it's nice to be back. I was really glad that we did this because, I love the resorts as much as I love the parks. And just to be able to, go into them and have a little time in them was really nice.
And I never felt safer because there was never anybody around.
Right, yeah, right. And when we go even into the parks right now, the parks we do go to, Universal especially, and then I'm going to call Disney Springs, it's like a park. I feel safer than going to the dentist or going to the grocery store generally, because of all of the health and safety precautions, and especially when you have all the locals who are doing it over and over again. They're used to standing on a dot. They're used to being 6 feet away. They're used to putting a mask on, and so it feels a lot safer than many other areas I could go.
So here is a look at the new paint scheme. You could see they were actually working on it when we were there. This is from that 4th floor observation deck, and they have little chairs there. People can go out and have an ice cream or whatever, and take a look at the beautiful castle. Some people don't like the color scheme, but it's growing on me. Remember, I used to love the 25th anniversary castle, the Cakesel, which many hated it, but I had good memories from the 25th. So this is nothing compared to that.
I had good memories, but not the castle was not the good memory. I like the photos of it looking back, but just at that time I didn't. So the blue. I like the blue on here. I don't know about the castle itself, but it was really fading. So I think it looks okay. It is being painted for the 50th. I don't know how the 50th is going to go next year. I think it all depends on how well we kind of combat, COVID.
And you mentioned fading earlier, and I think maybe they're painting it a little darker colors in anticipation of a little fading before it starts. The actual anniversary starts on October 1st, 2021.
Well, right. I mean, the blue is very blue, so by then it'll be a little less so. It's sort of like coloring my hair. If I do it kind of red, in a month or so, it's not quite as red anymore.
Right, and you have to remember that there is still a projection element, projection shows that take place on the castle. So whatever they do, they still have to make sure you can project on it.
And I hope that when the parks open, and right now they're scheduling it for in a couple of weeks, it would be nice if they did Happily Ever After at night for like a couple of hours. There won't be fireworks, but even if you could just see the projections for a while, and if it's a couple of hours, guests as they're leaving can just maybe stop and enjoy it and then head out.
Right. I think continuous entertainment would be a great thing if they can do that. I agree with you. Although I know the parks are closing early. I think the Magic Kingdom is closing before dark. So if that's the case, it won't make a difference.
Oh, well, that won't be too bad.
Yeah, maybe that's purpose. I think they're closing at 7. So that is very possible that there will not be any kind of, at least for now, no nighttime.
And I don't remember. I didn't remember what the times were, but I guess Universal is sort of like that as well.
Right. So anyway, and now we're going to continue our little tour here, the Contemporary. And as you said, it was so nice to be back, and I felt like it was just for us, because honestly, I can say maybe we saw 5 people throughout the whole time. Most of them were work or cast members.
I didn't count them.
Very few.
I'm sure there were some who were over at Bay Lake Tower swimming, because I think it's the pools that were busiest. We've had some really hot days, as much as almost 100 degrees, which is a little unusual for Florida. We often have feels like temperatures that can be over 100, but actually hitting so close to 100 is not so usual as this week.
And this Fantasia shop was actually opened, by the way.
And there was actually 2 shops open, 3 shops on this floor open. So we took a walk through them. Some things are different. Like if you walk into the shops that normally have cupcakes and desserts and stuff, the shops generally don't have those fresh items. You have to go to, again, the BoardWalk Bakery, or if we had gone to Contempo Cafe, they would have had something.
And of course, the Mary Blair mural here in the Grand Canyon Concourse, you have to love it. A classic.
Right? I mean, it's one of my favorite aspects of this resort.
So there is the Contempo Cafe, of course, that is open. Chef Mickey's, there's a sign that's saying it's closed, and the Outer Rim Bar also closed.
And one thing that's also different, when you go to, let's say, the BoardWalk Bakery or the Contempo Cafe, or pretty much any restaurant, the menus are scaled back. It is not like normal. There's a lot of things that won't be like normal, what you would be used to. And again, one of those would be like the BoardWalk Bakery. We had a fairly limited amount of items to order. So that was how it was at a lot of the locations, I think.
And another thing I want to mention is the quiet. This hotel didn't have music really in the background, so it was absolutely, you can hear a pin drop in there.
The Polynesian did, though.
Which was wonderful. I felt the best at the Poly.
I thought the Polynesian felt very normal, where the BoardWalk seemed quiet as far as the music, and so did, I guess, the Contemporary. So, it just depends where you go.
Here's a look in the shop, and I wanted to show over here, as you mentioned before, they would normally sell cookies or, little food items. That's completely closed. And of course, they have the plexiglass behind pretty much every register that we have seen all around property.
Right. And, living here and going to Universal, which to me has felt very normal, but you still have the masks, you still have the social distancing. Disney feels not quite as normal, let's say, as Universal, but none of it is going to be, if you're only coming once a year, I would wait till 2021 and make that your year, because right now it is different.
No line for masks, though. Unlike if you go to Disney Springs, they have massive lines. And although I don't recommend these masks because the sizing, for me, I got the largest size mask, and I've tried 8 of them. We did an online order, and then we did 4 in person at Disney Springs. And only 1 has fit me of the 8.
However, 7 of them fit me, except that one. And I am a size medium generally, and those are a large that we got. I was going to tie the elastic otherwise. So it isn't that I don't recommend them, but if you're like a large, you're probably not going to fit into them.
If it fits, it's great. It's one of my the one that does fit me is one of my favorite masks. I wore it all day long this day.
Yeah, it was that's a long time to wear it.
Usually, that's the longest I've ever wore a mask.
You should be changing them. Really, you need to kind of change them out every couple of hours just so it's clean.
Well, I always have changed them at least once every 2 hours or even less, but this one, it was just so breathable, and it didn't feel wet or anything. It was a great mask.
And I just want to say, generally they run about a size small, except for that one that you got out of the 8.
And we compared it with the 8. It was unusual.
It was totally different. I could not wear it. And I do want to mention some friends of ours have attraction earring, although it's now called Park Candy, and they have some really nice Disney themed masks, including from some Disney people who've done art for Disney. So I would recommend them, and that we don't get anything to say that.
And you just saw the classic Mickey that, of course, many people, including us, like to pose by. And now we're getting back on the bus to go back to Disney Springs. And this is something new for us. Once they drop you off, you have to go through the temperature check again at a different location.
Right, and I want to mention they didn't have the topiary of Sorcerer Mickey, which they normally would at Disney's Contemporary Resort. So here we are at the bus stop. This would have been very new, just a couple of days old. And, it was a really quick time for us to get through for the temperature check, which is what we usually do in the garage.
Right. As you can see, not a big line of people to get through. And now we're back here. We had a little break, and now we're taking a walk in the evening at the BoardWalk, and we're going to take a look. We're going to see how close we can get to the International Gateway. Here we are on the bridge, and we're going to look over, and we can see a little bit of France. And you could see that things are looking pretty finished for the Ratatouille area.
Well, I've seen the Bio reconstructs photos,
Aerials,
yes. From above, and it doesn't look like they've done a ton since we've been there, but they actually were pretty close to finished before, so it won't take them very long to finish everything once they really get back started on it. You've got the Epcot sign here.
You can hear and see, and that is the gate. If you walk up to the gate, a friendly guard will come and talk to you for about 20 minutes.
And there was an Epcot flower, and I think a lot of the guards haven't seen people.
Yeah,
so,
they seem very happy to talk to.
So the flower and garden signs were still up.
Yes.
They're going to kind of do a little flower and garden and a little food and wine, if Epcot opens in a couple of weeks. And it rained, so we didn't get to see like a movie outside. And then We didn't end up swimming or anything.
But we did get a beautiful walk in a nice view of Spaceship Earth, nicely lit like it always is. You could see in the background there's still a lot of lightning going on. I mean, it was torrential rain. Luckily, we had food that we had brought for dinner that you had cooked, so that worked out very well.
Because we weren't sure if we would be able to maybe take out from Beaches and Cream or anything. Again, so many of the restaurants are
We'll
indoors.
talk about that fully because next week we're going to show our trip over to the Beach Club and Fort Wilderness and, of course, the Polynesian.
Right. So there'll be a lot more coming. And there was this still the lightning in the background.
And look at this. It is the Walt Disney World Dolphin. And it's not open, but it still looks beautiful for our nighttime walk.
And I think they're hosting, Major League Soccer players or something?
I think so.
I haven't followed it too much, but they won't be opening quite yet.
And this is the last thing we saw before turning in for the night. So pleasant dreams for all.
So beautiful. And thanks to our sponsor, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And again, Universal Fan Travel. We haven't been over to Universal
in a full week.
In a week.
I can't wait to go back.
And, there you can go to a resort right now. You can book a resort like Sapphire Falls. You can book Hard Rock Hotel and I think Endless Summer, Resort in Royal Pacific. Those are places that you could stay at right now if you are wanting to come here, and as long as everything stays open.
And last week we had a terrific meal at Sapphire Falls by the poolside there. So I mean that was wonderful outside. I felt very safe.
And MEI and Mouse Fan Travel and Universal Fan Travel can, get you there.
So next week we're going to be talking about our trip to the Polynesian. We had a lengthy visit there. We went to we also went to Fort Wilderness and we dined there, which was very nice at the Trail's End.
P&J's Southern Takeout.
And we saw the new horse barn.
Right, Tri-Circle D Ranch, and that is a beautiful barn. And we got to see their little baby 5-week-old foal Violet.
Very adorable, and you'll probably tell the story of your morning because you got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and were outside for watching the boardwalk in the very early morning as I was sleeping in.
I don't know if we're going to be able to fit all that in the next show, but
we'll be able to fit it.
So I want to just say seriously right now, the theme parks here, for anybody who's concerned about coming, and it isn't the theme parks that will be the issue as much, because like Universal Studios, when we go to Universal, I have felt 98% safe at Universal. You can't feel 100, but overall it has been I feel like I'm in a pretty safe bubble when we go to the parks there.
Theme parks seem to be the safest place that you can really go.
Not SeaWorld.
Well, that was only the first day. I've heard conflicting reports. Yeah. Some people say it's gotten better, but then I hear the other, so it's hard to know.
We mostly stay outside anyway, but as far as masks and really social distancing and all that, I think especially Universal has a lot of pass holders who go and are used to it, and they go and they stand on the dots and all that. It's been a very good experience.
But Disney seems to be taking it very seriously. I mean, they certainly aren't rushing into just throwing the doors open. They're wanting to do it right, and I respect that, and I have confidence that whatever happens, they're going to do it right.
Well, Disney Springs has been good. I think sometimes Disney is not as harsh as, let's say, Universal might be at put your mask on, put your mask on. So Disney Springs, Disney wants to be more magical about it, but you can't be magical as much about some things. So we'll see how it goes. Disney, has been slowly getting into this where Universal just kind of threw the doors open, but Universal did a very good job at it. The first day that we went, I was very nervous, and we saw those guests going down the escalators, and I'm like, I can't do
Waiting
this.
for a temperature check.
It's too much. We left, went back a couple hours later, and since then, almost all the time, I have felt comfortable there. However, theme parks, I don't find would be the major issue. It is more...
It's the rest of the state.
It's the rest of the state right now. Like on June 2nd, we had about 617 COVID-19 cases. However, yesterday we had 9,500, and they say it could be 10 times as much. Jeff, I don't know if Jeff's heard that part.
I haven't heard that, but I'm hoping. I'm
laughing, but I'm not laughing because I'm happy about it.
By the time this happened, by the time the Disney parks are supposed to open, maybe everybody, our Florida leaders will wake up and make sure everybody has to be mandated to wear the mask. And maybe that'll be nationwide by then if it continues to be as bad as it seems to be going.
That's a little over a couple weeks from now, and it sounds like it would take maybe a month to kind of turn everything around. So I just want to say that the parks themselves are doing a lot of good things. So you shouldn't worry as much about the parks. It's more that you just want to make sure there's not too many guests there. There's not, they'll say the density of the guests. But the state itself has not really mandated much of anything. Mm-hmm. And so our cases have gone through the roof in the last couple of weeks. So again, that's why I'm thinking later and maybe book for fall, or if you have fall booked, just hold on to it and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, thanks again for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a great week
and stay safe.
Yes.